Namaste, dear frogs. Welcome to your Monday flow. Today we are draining out tension, allowing ourselves yin, stillness, surrendering, self-nurturing energy. So we're basically looking after ourselves if we haven't really been doing that of late. It's a way for us to catch up, brain and body, just catching up with each other to become more connected. So today, when I say that we're going to be chilled, I know a couple of you may roll your eyes knowing that I sometimes go a little bit ferocious, but today really is going to be quite restorative. There will be an option to take a few deeper hip releases. So if you are working with anything sort of twingy or feeling a bit off in the hips or back, you might avoid those movements or take the sort of less deep option. And when in doubt, move out of the stretch or come completely to rest on your back. Always looking after yourselves. So today, in particular, thinking about draining, the kind of draining of things that are heavy, that little sort of fizz and tingle that collects at the crown when we've been sort of in that blue light too much, and releasing the jaw if we've been sort of concentrating and neglecting what the body really wants and needs, and draining the heart and hips of any clogged energy, these two centers connected with our emotions. So if we are putting some feelings on the back burner slightly, just not necessarily having to fully face them, but just sort of letting them melt and be. So today, as I'm hopefully going to mention in my email if I'm organized and I remember, you are just going to need a couple of cushions. So mine are the same, but they don't have to be the same for you. And it doesn't really matter how high or how thin they are. You might also just take a bundled up towel or blanket if you don't have cushions around. And then there is the option of also having a block, but this is just for the end and you don't necessarily need this. So if you don't have one, don't worry about it. So we'll start off with our cushions. So I'd like you to keep them beside your mat. And we are going to start in semi-supine. So bum to the ground, feet spread at hips distance apart, and we're going to make our way down all the way to the ground. And I want you to take a moment to just feel your back spreading along the ground, feet underneath the knees, chin slightly tucked towards the chest, soft root of the tongue. We're going to set ourselves up to start in a very slight arch. So starting to press into the feet, lifting your tailbone off the ground. We're going to feed those cushions underneath your sacrum. That nice panel, weighty panel along the lower back and across the pelvis. So I want you to kind of have a little fidget to start off with. Fidget to get yourself feeling really supported. So your cushions may move up a little or down a little, and you might take one cushion away if this is a bit tall for you, if you're dealing with some mega chunky cushions. So get yourself feeling set up. You might just give your hips a little rock side to side, and then just fully land on those cushions as directly as possible. Hands can do as they feel, maybe spreading up towards the sky. I want you to feel, if you can, and imagine your feet starting to drain. So not only with the hips above the heart do we feel this nice change in circulation, it's anytime we are sort of draining, bringing the feet above the heart or the hips above the heart, we are slightly refreshing our circulation. So it's just a nice way to kind of zhuzh up if we're a little bit on the stale side, stagnant side. I want you to feel like
your feet are kind of taking a breath. So whether or not you've worn shoes lately, I know none of us really are, just feeling how nice and grateful your feet are for air moving between the toes, for relaxing the arches of the feet. And then bringing your attention a little bit into how the cushions are supporting you, lifting you. And whether you've noticed it or not, those cushions are actually taking a little bit of weight out of the mid-body. So you've got quite a light feeling going around those energy lines, chest to knees, chest to hips. So see if you can just notice that for a moment, that light feeling. And then lastly, in this starting pose, I'd just like you to envisage the chest space or heart space. And again, whether we've noticed or not, that space is slightly elevated, slightly curved, and maybe there's a chance for that place to unlock as well. Just dismantling any tightness that you might not even know you've stored there. We're going to breathe here for 8 more breaths, starting to feel your breath almost like a potion that we can inhale and imagine filling us with some sort of intention that we want to put forward. Peaceful feelings, a little bit more presence and connection with your body. And associating your exhale, your release of breath as that exchange, letting go of something, melting down, softening. So if you're a fidgeting person, or today it's just a bit hard to turn off your brain, don't worry about it too much. We're going to take the last 4 breaths using a little bit of a breath count. So we're breathing in for 2 slow counts, 1, 2, and out for 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling for 2, 1, 2. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. A couple more like that. So there's a bit of energy in the breath in. Silently counting to 4 as we release more slowly and more fully. Letting your breath become more natural, but still just as deep. Starting to energize the feet, pressing into them to release your lower back from the ground. Take your cushions away, just take them off to one side and feel your back land every part. As you land down, inhale, we're just going to tuck your pelvis under, so you're pressing your mid-back, where was connected to your cushions, into the ground. Almost like a cat position on the floor. And then taking almost a cow position on the floor, we're just going to lift your belly and tuck your pelvis downwards. So you're kind of lifting and arching the chest and belly upwards. And then exhaling, chest and belly are coming downwards, scooping your tailbone under to tuck. And then inhaling, let's take it the other way. And then just take a couple of little rocks forwards and back. And just enjoy the small movement. Anything you can notice in there, eyes closed, one more breath. Good. Inhale, setting your pelvis really nice and neutral. Spread your arms a little bit higher. You might go underneath a couch like me. Arms a little bit higher, in line with the shoulders or just below. Spread out the fingers and then just relax the hands. We're taking both knees on a journey to your left. So we've got a windscreen wiper movement going left, and then center, and then going right, and then center. And then again, just feel the freedom of your body, and starting to feel that draining, that emptying of the mind space as you just think about how it feels to move. So you think about the nice massage across your bum, across your back and glutes, and that nice twist. And one more movement like that. Breath in with the knees coming up. So we're going to lift your feet from the floor so we can start to hang on to your shins, flexing both heels, and then just taking a rotation in both ankles. Full breath in, full breath out, just feeling how nice that is to free up those clicky ankles in my case. And then when you're ready, just release your arms so that your elbows are at right angles with your shoulders, so they're in line with your shoulder, and then the hands are just above that. So you're like a little cactus on the ground, a cartoon cactus. Palms are up towards the ceiling in your cartoon cactus, and then we're just going to press your heels up to stretch the backs of your legs. And just take a couple of breaths to just kind of point the toes, flex the heels, draw one leg up and then the other, again into a bit of free movement, just stretching out the backs of the legs. Feel how there's weight on your lower back from lifting those legs up, quite secure, nice stable feeling. And then we're going to press both heels up, both heels flex, as if you're standing on the ceiling. And just take a couple of breaths into the core. Don't worry if the knees are slightly bent here. The aim is just to stretch those legs. Exhaling, start to slide the knees into a little bend. I'm going to cross your feet at the ankles as you come down. Reaching your hands towards the tops of your feet, just take a moment to press your toes towards yourself. So you're stretching the tops of your feet, getting a nice little stretch on the toes. And then just loosening your grip slightly so that we can rock forwards and back. We're going to rock up to cross legs from here, hands connected to the feet. But if that doesn't feel like a good idea for you for any reason, just let go, find your way up slowly. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to release your feet and fold forwards, just dropping the head, stretching. You should feel whichever glute is underneath in your cross legs, getting the deepest stretch. Breathing in, a nice heavy head to breathe out. So whenever that head is hanging down, again, just imagine a draining of any fizzy energy from the crown, leaving it lighter. Inhaling, we're walking the hands up, taking your hands facing forwards but behind you at hips distance apart. Inhale, we're just going to lift your hips ever so slightly off the mat. So don't feel like you have to come very far. If you're interested in taking a deeper arch, you might be stretching the inner arms here. And then exhaling, we're coming back. Taking the knees up and changing over which ankle comes first. Inhale to lift. Exhale to drain your head out as it drops down. Inhale and walk the hands up. Fingertips face the front of the mat to inhale and lift. It doesn't have to be much. Listen to your hips. Inhale, you might stretch further to get into the inner arms. Exhaling, we're coming down. Lift the knees just enough to tuck the feet back under you. Find your way towards a tabletop position. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. Breathing in, we're going to take your left foot towards the back of the mat. Find your calf muscle for a moment as you tuck the toes. And press your heels slightly back as your crown presses forwards. Breathing in once. And out. Carefully, if you're on the hard floor here, slowly and carefully, we're just spinning your right shin outwards. So out towards the outer edge of your right side of the mat. Let your left heel come down. Inhale, we're going to bring your left arm up and take a nice big spiral through this left arm. Up and over and around. So we're getting a bit of this side stretch, maybe a bit of your shoulder blade stretch. And then just take your left hand towards your shoulder and rotate back this time. Inhale, we're going to take your left hand over your head, strengthen your right hand, lift your left heel and really energize the flex of your left foot so there's energy pressing forwards and back through the arm and foot. Taking another couple of deep breaths. If you feel like taking this further, your left heel is going to come towards your left glute. Left hand might find that left foot to squeeze the chest slightly more open. Shoulder blades are coming together. Try not to sink in your shoulder, still space from your neck there. So feeling that nice quad stretch, take another deep breath in and we'll release on the exhale. Back where we came. Exhale to bring your left hand down. Spin your back shin and take that cat's pose, tabletop position again. Inhale, we're just going to take that same leg, left foot forwards. Full breath in, making sure it tracks with your left hip. We're going to inhale and just walk your hands inside your left foot, fingertips nice and energetic. So we're finding a little bit of a hip space here. Again, careful on a hard floor. If you're on one, you can always bring one of those cushions under your knee. We're going to spiral your right shin, this time to the left side, tucking the toes. So we've done this one before. We might come into the palms here. And you should feel this different angle. The hips are slightly open here, almost in your lizard sensation in the hips. If you feel that you could take a really deep hip stretch today, we're going to loop your left hand under your left knee outside the left foot. And give that a little squeeze, shoulder and knee together. Your right hand might come up in line with your right shoulder, or even higher if you feel like going into a deeper hip stretch. But again, loads of options if you're dealing with anything in the hips today. So last couple of breaths, you might be here with me, halfway, or hands still inside your left foot. As you exhale, making your way back through each stage. Inhale, we're just going to frame your left foot. Again, take your shin gently back to a line. I'm going to take your right knee off the floor. Inhale, fingertips framing your left foot. We're going to inhale and reach your tailbone up and back, dropping the head towards the knee. Maybe flexing the ball of the foot off the floor, or simply just drawing the hips back a little bit more with each breath. One last breath here. Exhaling, release. We're taking your right knee down, untucking the toes, making sure your knee, your hips, your chest are stacking as we inhale, reach the fingertips up. As we exhale, come into the bend of your left knee forwards. So it doesn't have to be this far. You can take it just a bit at a time. Feel where there's a nice sweet spot in the stretch. And then we're going to bunch up your fists and exhale to just pull your elbows apart as slow as you can until your fingertips go all the way out to their full extension, palms open to the sky. So really indulging in space in the chest. Again, let's imagine just draining that out. We're shining the heart forwards. Everything is open. If we felt a bit bunched up and closed, take another deep breath. And then reach the arms up as you next inhale. Exhale, we're framing the left foot, coming back to child's pose. Both shins to the back of your mat. Take a moment to rest your forehead on the mat. You might take the knees a little wide and just rock your torso inside the thighs. We're breathing in for one more. Breathing out. Inhale, finding your way towards your tabletop. Taking a moment here to open up the frame of the shoulders, send your right foot back, tucked toes. And just find your calf muscle as you press back into the heel for a moment. Inhaling, we're going to start to gently, being careful with the kneecap, spin the left shin outwards. Turn your right heel down, inhale to lift that right arm. And then just take a couple of nice big swirling movements up and overhead. Back the way you came. So kind of like an air guitar, we're reaching overhead and forwards. And then bring your right hand to your shoulder, take the opposite movement, so that elbow is just going to come up and behind you. Inhale, take your right hand ahead of you, start to energize your core, bring your right foot up, heel is flexed, and there's kind of a nice energetic line all the way through the body to the heel from the fingers. You might be staying there, you might actually be staying with your heel on the ground if your knee isn't comfortable. If you're coming one step further with me, right heel towards the right glute as we take hold of that right foot with the right hand. It's a lot of right. Squeezing your shoulder blades slightly together, bringing the heart out of the chest. Full breath in, full breath out. Last deep breath here, feel that nice quad stretch on the front of that right thigh. Exhale to come back through each stage. Finding your way to tabletop. Inhale, we're going to pick up your right foot to step between your hands, making sure your right foot does track with your right knee. As we inhale, we're just going to start to spin your left shin again, but this time to the right, with the toes tucked, and making sure that that transition feels comfortable. You can just take the weight out of it or take a cushion underneath. Fingertips of both hands inside your right foot at shoulder width apart. And we're just going to feel that new angle for the hips as we kind of lean forwards with the hips drawing back. As we exhale, we're going to start to decide whether we're happiest there. The palms could land, or your right hand could wrap under your right knee to take the outer edge of the right foot. This is a little squeeze here between the arm and the knee to keep some energy there and actually to stretch without too much push. If you're happy to come further with me, you might take your left arm up. Make sure your back is lengthening, so don't curl the back in order to come further. Inhale, the left arm might come up even further if that feels comfortable. That's quite a deep stretch for me, so do move back if you need to, no need to push. So as we take the last couple of breaths, again, just really feeling where your level is of stretch today. And accepting all the different street noises that come your way. Good, let's take one last breath. And as we exhale, we're going to unravel, make our way through each stage. So we're going to frame your right foot with both fingertips. Slowly align your shin back so that we can tuck the left toes, lift the knee from the ground. As we breathe in, we're trying to find your right hamstring stretch as we bow the head. And again, there's this draping, especially here, we do feel a lot of weight through the head. The vertebrae may be feeling some space too. If you're comfortable, you might be lifting the ball of the foot off the ground. Try not to lock that right knee though. Keep a tiny bit of energy in the knee. Last breath. Exhaling, let's release the left knee to the ground. Let's take this as a stack. Knee, hips, chest. Inhale to rise the fingertips. Exhale to come forwards as much or as little as you want. Finding that more direct psoas stretch. Inhaling through the fingertips, exhaling, we're going to ball up the fists and pull those elbows apart. Slowly, slowly until you find yourself reaching out in both directions and opening up. Let's take another 2 breaths. Last breath is to lift the hands. Exhale to frame the front foot and find your way back to child's pose. Relax for a moment, make sure the hands feel relaxed too. Take a couple of breaths in and out while I soundproof. When you're ready, inhaling, we're going to move our way forward and find your down dog. So hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, tucking the toes, strong knuckles through the hands. We're lifting the tailbone up, feeling that shoulder transition as the head finds its way down. And let's rinse out the heels one way and then the other. Starting to align, and whether the knees are bent or not doesn't matter. Keep that spine really long, soft jaw, soft crown of the head, and find 3 breaths in stillness in your down dog, energizing the tailbone up as the heels come down. Exhaling, inhaling, we're going to start to walk your hands towards your feet. Come back into that balance, give your head a nice big shake. And we're just going to take a little bend in the knees, drop the arms heavy. If you want to bend a little bit more into the knees, that's fine. Fingertips are going to face inwards, palms face up. We're going to take just a little stretch on the backs of the wrists on the ground. Exhaling, start to roll up. Hands nice and heavy, squeezing the hips together. Inhale. Exhale. Next inhale, bring your arms up. Next exhale, we're bending at the elbows and the knees. So your chest is going to slowly drape on your thighs. So we get this little arch, and then as the head drops, the arms drop. Inhaling, roll up and feel every little part of the back stretch, and then align. And then just one more time like that. Exhale, elbow tips bend, knees bend. Good. As you breathe in, this time we're rolling up to standing. Taking your arms up and into the air. Lifting to the tippy toes, so we've used almost every part of the body today. And then exhale, return to the heels to take the hands behind you. You can take your hands to the elbows or interlace for one chest opener here. Inhale to squeeze that forwards. Exhale, bending the knees to feed the chest towards the thighs. Release your hands whenever you're ready. We're going to walk out into your down dog. Give your head a little shake. Take a lion's breath in through the nose and out with your tongue sticking out. And just one more like that. Inhale. Looking towards the hands, we're bringing the knees down to change to cross legs. Make your way into the center of the mat, and we're going to set up for our last pose. So we're bringing in our cushions, 2 cushions or 2 bundles, and we're bringing in our block if we have it. So if you don't have a block, you're going to be resting with a nice flat back on the ground for Shavasana. If you do have a block, you might be using this to lift up the heart. I'm going to put this on its long side at the back of the mat, and I want it to meet me just at those 2 ridges of the shoulder blades at the bottom. And I want to feel that my neck is supported, so I can always shuffle this up or down, depending on how it sits. These 2 cushions we're going to keep either side of us. If your cushions are really thin, you might double them when you come down. Okay, so we're going to inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, find your way down. So if you're using a block and that's hitting you just between those shoulder blade corners, then just making sure that your head and your neck are comfortable here as you release the arms, bringing your knees up to semi-supine. And you can always shuffle your bum around, find more balance. So here we're going to take a Shavasana with hips open, soles of the feet together, knees apart. But I want you to feel like you're not at your deepest stretch, you're not into the weight of the legs to open the hips. So you're going to tuck those cushions right in towards your hip bones and open it into your butterfly from there. So once you've had a little shuffle around, you might have paused me at this point to get yourself set up nicely. Whatever feels good. You might take this block away at some point, or bring your legs out straight in front of you at some point. We're just going to let the eyes close. And release, either just lifting that heart space or softening that heart space. Feel like your breath massages the backs of the eyeballs. And then works its way to unlock and set free that hip zone. And anything that might feel a little bit tight or disoriented in that space. Letting yourself feel connected and free from hips to chest to crown. We're going to spend another 8 or so breaths here. So let yourself get comfy, fidget if you need to, and when in doubt, just stretch out in an ordinary Shavasana. So the last 4 or 5 breaths here. If you have a fidgety mind or you just really like that rhythm, we're breathing in for 2 slow counts and out for 4. staying soft, but starting to bring a tiny bit of activity back into the body. But starting to wiggle your feet flat and your knees upwards. And we're taking away our cushions a little wider so we've got our space. If you're with me on a block, we're just rolling off to your left side. If you're not on your block, you're rolling with us to find that little bundle on your side and almost round your back as a nice tonic. Taking just a breath or two there, giving yourself a little squeeze, and then making your way up. With your eyes still closed, if you can, find your way to come to cross legs. So setting your hips really nice and equal, nice and light through the crown. Let's take prayer position towards the chest gently. I'd like you to feel each of your hands with the other hand. So you're actually feeling your left hand with your right and your right hand with your left. Bring your breath in, imagining it travelling in through the left nostril, emptying through the right. Imagine your breath entering the body through the right nostril and emptying from your left. And now just through both equally. Out through both equally. In through both equally. And out through both. Prayer position to your third eye. Namaste. Thanks so much for joining me. Whether it's the morning or the afternoon or night time, I hope you're feeling mellow and can carry that little thread of Zen through the day. Thanks so much.